So Barry Lyga says, write the book you want to read. And Barry has written several YA horror novels after he unsuccessfully pitched his adult titles to agents and publishers. So before we discuss the topic of writing books you'd like to read, let's quickly talk about the potential success of YA versus adult. Why do you think it's easier to pitch YA than adult in the current market? It should be.
Well, I think it's because YA is selling so much better than adult at the moment. Like, there's a big YA boom.
Like, why
right
exactly
now.
is that? Is it because kids read a lot more? It's because, I mean, everyone on BookTube apparently just reads young adult. That's what I found out.
It's like after Twilight, I don't know exactly I keep saying exactly, but what happened is just like, everybody started reading that and they're like, I want to read more. And so they find more and more and their taste gets better and better, for the most part. But, I think it's a lot to do with that whole thing getting off the ground and, spiking people's interest in young adult fiction and all the book-to-movie adaptations of young adult books and book-to-television kind of stuff has really sparked people's interest. And I believe his book, I Hunt Killers, is starting to be developed into a TV show. I don't know if it's going to actually become one, but it's, been optioned or something like that, so...
I found that a lot of young adult stuff is so simple to get through, so, like, some of them are heavy on the topics, right? That's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
But in terms of writing, it's very simplistic. It's, you could just glaze over it. You don't have to pause and look up a word every time you get to some ridiculous word that has, like, 15 letters. Okay, so...
Yeah. It serves two markets in a sense, because you have the young adults that you've got your 13 through 16, 17, 18 year olds that have a great interest in it, because these are all books about people their age, which is really kind of surprising. There haven't been more of those until recently. It's kind of weird. And they connect like they've never connected to books that they were taught in school. And then you have the large majority of people out there who didn't decide to pursue like writing or literature or whatever is their main goal in life. There's hundreds of millions of other things they wanted to do. And so when they want to read, they're not necessarily looking to read something that is going to be like, wow, I've never read writing so beautifully before or something like that. They're looking for a good story that's not going to give them a headache, that they can just read and enjoy. And so that's sort of the young adult reading level, which is caps out sort of like at the end of a high school education, all the people who didn't go further in college and stuff like that, which is obviously fine. And so that's why I think this new adult thing too, Liz, that you were talking about, is going to be a really big hit, because it kind of combines this humongous group of people who don't read to do much more than just to enjoy the experience without having to feel like they're reading something for younger children. It should be a big hit. It seems like the perfect combo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to push like entry level fiction, and how it's kind of like, it's like young adult, the same style as writing young adult, but dealing with subjects that are for adults. I think that to me is more interesting than reading adult books, because adult books kind of require you to use that business language where it's really complex. You have to decipher it, because apparently that's what adults like. So
yeah, it's like there's some gap between like stuff that's written for teenagers, and then all of a sudden it becomes literature, and there's nothing really out there that is in between those two things.
Yeah, like you get
there is commercial fiction, but like,
right.
Oh man, most of it is really bad.
Yeah. I was thinking Nicholas Sparks, and I was like...
Yeah. Like, if your only choices are, like, 300-page Victorian novels, not even 300, it's a Victorian novel, like 500-page Victorian novels, and, like, Nicholas Sparks.
The books you get taught in, like, school, like high school, I found that most people just don't want to read those books again, because, like, they're associated with school and learning.
Memories.
They just don't want to do it again. Yeah. But those books could be really good. It's just that you're required to read it, so therefore you don't want to do it. So, like, young adults are like, no one's requiring you to read them, so you feel like you can. You feel like it's kind of accepted.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Yeah.
Also, I feel like there's been a big uptick in quality in the young adult genre in recent years, because I remember, like, not too long ago when I was a teenager, young adult novels were so bad. Like, it was that like writing down to teenagers thing where, like, oh, you're 14, so you're stupid. Here's a stupid book, you know? Like,
there's still some of those, but there's a lot more respect between the author and their audience, which is something that I very much respect.
I think we're getting more open-minded with our works now, so we're not, constricting everyone to say, you have to write like this. It's like, you can write however you want now. It doesn't matter, because, with self-publishing, it doesn't, no one's concerned with it. You're not going to get hounded by a publisher because you didn't write in a certain style that requires your audience, So that's really cool. So when you write the book you want to read, do you agree that the audience shouldn't be thought of when the author is writing a book? Is it more important to uphold personal integrity and creativity in favour of what the reader expects when they open their favourite author's book, or is there a line between the two? So that's kind of like when they influence your writing to suit a certain demographic.
I don't know. I think there's a balance required, because I don't think you should discount the audience entirely, but, like, when you're sitting down to write a book, you should probably mostly think about, like, the things that you like and are wanting to get into this book, because if you are not, like, 100% jazzed about the thing that you're writing, you're probably not going to finish writing it.
Unless you got a contract, then you will finish it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. If you're being required to read it,
painful.
I think it's very important to be personally, like, to have that integrity when you're writing. Otherwise, as you said, you're not going to be able to finish it. Then you're going to turn into a James Patterson, where he, like, takes an idea, gives it to someone else, they write it, and then he pretends he wrote it. What a fucking douchebag. Something like that is like turning writing into a business, and that's just a big no-no. You just got to write for what you want to read, what you personally want to read. So J.K. she wrote that Casual Vacancy, and that's all right, because she wrote what she wanted to write. And that is fine. I'm totally cool with that. I personally don't like it, but that does not nullify what she did. I think it's really good that she did. She could have just pandered to her audience and made another Harry Potter series, but she didn't. She wrote what she wanted to write. So that's cool. Is there a line between the two? I don't know. I really just don't. Like, do you keep it in mind when you write something that, like, the person who's reading it, like, do you put in a certain element because you think someone else might relate to this better? I mean, I've done that. What do you reckon?
I was thinking about trends, like, how, you're probably thinking, oh, well, these trends are hot, and this is what people are going to read, and it's just like, by the time those, let's say, vampires or whatever, like, once your book actually gets published, all that stuff is not going to be popular anymore or whatever. Like, it's fallen by the wayside or whatever on the sales table. So, you're better off, like you guys have been saying, like, just write what you want to write, and all that stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Like, when you have a huge sweep in the market like those vampire novels, and a lot of people write vampire stuff, I think they wanted to write vampire stuff, but they didn't get picked up until now because of Twilight.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's good. I think it's cool. So, definitely, I don't know, you just gotta hope that what you're writing is gonna be like the next bandwagon, and you can ride that all the way to town. So...
Do you really think lots of people wanted to write about vampires falling in love?
I think there's enough people in this world to say that they
It was stuff that they had, like, sitting on their, shelf or whatever writing in progress that they already had, that, like, it wasn't like they saw Twilight and they're like, oh, I'm gonna write a vampire book now.
They might have added something later, but I don't really think that influenced them too much.
Yeah. It's the same thing with, like, dystopians. It's like, a lot of them are sort of similar, but, they've got different ideas. That's something that I kind of respect with all that is, you can create...
Like, it just takes... it takes so long to write a book and then publish a book that there's no way that if you start writing like whatever is trendy right this second that it's still going to be trendy by the time the book comes out.
I'm gonna disagree with that for sake of conversation. I think that if you're writing a book that you're basing generally on a specific topic, so you know exactly what you want to do, and you're writing it in say a specific like niche style of writing because you've read like the original and you want to stick to that you can whip something like that out in 2 or 3 months and get it out there. And if the market is looking to buy it, then they'll buy it right then. I don't think it would take that long. You're not trying to write the next great American novel. You're trying to write what the other person has already kind of wrote. And that's not to say you're not interested in the topic, but I personally think that there's a lot of people who read Twilight and thought, this is really cool, I really like this, I want to write a story like this, and they did in a couple months. And is it the best thing ever? No, and that's probably why it's not like known nearly as well, but that's why it got purchased. I don't know. I'm sure there's a few people, but I think a lot of people were kind of influenced by it.
I think it depends how much you want to generalize. If you're talking about everyone, then like obviously there's going to be people who had already written vampire stuff and they just got successful because they happened to ride a trend. So it's on a case by case basis. But I think for the most part, I noticed that they came out as soon as Twilight got popular. It wasn't just like it happened and then like a few weeks later, it's like a few months later they came out. It was like instant. It's like everyone wants that vampire shit. And so therefore all the people who'd already written that stuff elevated to godlike stature. So
a lot of
Bananarama was already showing you can get 50,000 words done in a month.
Yeah, but they're going to be shit words. I mean, they already said it.
Right, but if you're getting picked up by Penguin, you got the editors to fix that up in a couple days.
Sometimes.
Like, I mean, there are definitely James Patterson type figures out there that just write to make money. That's what they do. I'm just saying that for the most part, it would have been this case. By now, after a certain amount of months, people would be just dishing out the vampire shit because they just want to make money. That's just a fact. I mean, that was just the huge thing. That's why you got all these 50 Shades of Grey parodies. They're all over the place. And they came out purely to get that market. They're not in a certain genre. They're not, and like, you haven't seen an explosion in erotic fiction, really. You've just seen a lot of parody stuff. So that stuff, that came out quite a little bit after that book came out. So you can tell that was, just riding the bandwagon. But these other ones, not so much. They were already there. They were already there, but they just got picked up because everyone was interested in them. But
because I mean, a lot of like older YA vampire stuff got like repackaged post Twilight, and like I have. Like right here, I've got Thirst by Christopher Pike. You can't see it at all because it's blown out. But this is a reprint of something that was originally published in the mid-90s. And it just got repackaged to look cool for today's teens. And people just buy it because they want vampires.
Yeah. It's categorized as paranormal romance, you would say? Like, is that sort of what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty much paranormal romance. Like...
Because I just thought that was such a bizarre, like, genre that, like, it couldn't have been possible that, like, that kind of stuff had existed before.
No,
but
there's always that kind of stuff.
This is new to me.
Usually it's just not that good, and people just, like, not interested, so... do you guys feel there's a distinction between author emotions during the writing process and in contrast to reader reactions? Because I know I've done this where I've written something and I just don't understand, realize that when I've written it, the other person feels a different way about it. So when I give it to someone else to critique, they have a look at it and they say, oh, this was sad. I'm like, what? I laughed at that bit. Are you serious? So do you think that people should take into account how they might feel, how the reader might feel when they're writing something?
I don't know if it's worthwhile to try to predict that because you never really know how people are going to react to something until you put it out there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I think you kind of do have to stick to your guns and write what you would want to read. That's, I don't know, like, it seems almost like the really high quality stuff is the stuff that's ambiguous, almost like that. Like, I don't know, it's kind of weird like that, how that works. That the stuff that makes one person laugh and makes another person cringe and another person tear up tends to be like the really good stuff almost.
Yeah.
Definitely. Alright, any final thoughts before we move on? Nothing?
Nope.
Fantastic. What a great way to end the topic.